from the All Indiana Podcast Network. It's Diversity Focus Today. Now, here's your host, Rickie Solid Gold Clark.
And welcome once again to another edition of Diversity Focus Today. I'm your host, Rickie Clark, along with our co-host, attorney Mike Murray, and the lovely, talented Dr. T over there in the corner, a.k.a. Tammy Harris. And, of course, our fantastic, I started to say lovely director, which you can't see. Alan Hall is over here.
Got it out.
There goes the fingers, the hands, okay. Well, welcome to our program. We love the fact that you're watching or listening to us on whatever device that you have, whether it's television or whether it's podcasting or whether it's on YouTube or whatever, or if you got a tape recorder, you tape the whole thing. You can put it on cassette. We can go back old school on that tip.
8-track.
8-track. Oh. I have some 8-tracks. Can't play them, but I have some 8-tracks. So anyway. Okay, we've been looking at some of the different things that have been going on and some of the items and stories and things that have been written and questions asked of us. So we're going to devote at least part of this program with the questions that you, our viewers and listeners, have asked and want to know. Okay, question number 1. It says here, I am a lady that has been sexually abused. Can you talk further or what your opinion is about what's going on with the mayor of Indianapolis, Mayor Hallstatt? Any comments?
Well, I'll say, unfortunately, I'm sorry that that was an experience for you. The whole mayor incident, I don't really understand or know exactly the details about that to form its opinion.
Well, the mayor's chief of staff, I guess, basically started this, who no longer works for him right now, but apparently he had worked for him and then he got fired, and then when the mayor started campaigning again for re-election, he brought him back in. And so because of that, and he was harassing the different women that were being employed by the city of Indianapolis and the mayor's office and so on, what have you, asking for and getting, I suppose, sexual favors and that sort of thing. And folks are up in arms because the mayor didn't do anything. And then here recently we found out that the mayor sent an email to one of the ladies asking her something really out of the ordinary, and I can't recall what I'm going blank right now. I want to say it had something to deal with some type of poetry or something. And she said it was sent to her after midnight. So I'm thinking,
the mayor or
the mayor? The mayor himself. So, and then, of course, the women that they came to the city county council, they wanted to speak. Okay. Bob, who is the president of the city county council, apparently they had a rule that they give you 90 seconds or a minute and a half. And she had gone over that, and him wanting to stick to the rules really had her and her supporters removed from the meeting, which he caught a lot of flack and still catching flack on that. He said, well, maybe I should have gave her more time. You think? You know, this is a public forum, you know. You knew, or maybe you did know, but you knew if she was going over, just the fact she went over her 90 seconds, that is, that's no reason to have the sheriffs come in and remove her and the folks that were there to support her. What do you guys think on that? Huh?
It's jam-packed. You've definitely been following the story more so than I have. But it's interesting that what I'm hearing, a few things, is that this was a staff member that seemed like wasn't properly reprimanded for his actions toward other staff members.
Correctly.
And the fact of the matter that when it was brought to his attention, it still wasn't dealt with properly in its form. So the ladies needing to be heard or put it more public, I guess, to move the needle where we're hence talking about it now.
Yes, went to the media.
Still, right, still haven't had anything done but an inappropriate poem that was sent via email after hours.
Well, plus, she's not the only one. There are a number of ladies that have stepped forward that are basically claiming the same thing, sexual harassment.
There's one person.
From this one particular person.
So they feel probably if it had been dealt with the first time, it probably would have filtered over to other women?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm wondering where's the timeline in that, from the first accusation to when these other women, are they just kind of all like, ooh, now we feel free or confident to speak about it?
Well,
How
a
did
number of
that go
years.
down?
This happened
been over a number of
before
years.
now he's in his third term, so this
Okay.
happened the end of his first and somehow at the beginning of his second term. And then the ladies complained to him during his
Okay.
second term, but nothing was ever done.
And he came back the following term.
Yeah,
Oh,
and so and then they tried to well, let's talk about it again. Let's bring it up again, and I think the mere fact that he eventually fired his chief of staff during his first term, at the beginning of his second term, but he brought him back when he was running for re-election in his third term, and that didn't sit well with the ladies at
okay.
all. Wait a minute, you fired this guy, and then you bring
Okay,
him
now
back.
that makes okay.
People are demanding that people be held accountable for sexual harassment.
Exactly.
They don't want to see this being tolerated.
Right.
And, it occurs against the backdrop of the chief executive of the nation having been, found responsible for sexual assault.
The president.
Against a woman, and having many of these types of allegations, people are a bit tired of it. They want to make sure that people are being held accountable for it. And it appears that the mayor is tolerating it.
Right.
And the mayor, of course, is looking to the results of the investigation that was conducted, and those results said that the mayor's office acted appropriately, or
That's
acted
going to
within.
be my next question.
Like,
what was the protocol?
yeah, it acted within proper procedure. But there's a difference, I think, between meeting the letter of the law and the spirit of what people are really wanting. They want a definite statement that this will not be tolerated.
Yeah.
And, I've spent my career as corporate counsel. I have dealt with investigating allegations of sexual harassment, sexual discrimination. People need to be believed when they make these allegations. It's very difficult for someone to come forward and admit that I have been a victim of
Right. 'Cause you
somebody's
put your
predatory.
vulnerability out there, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a blow to the ego, to the sense of self, and I'm not just talking about somebody being egotistical.
Right.
It's
Understood.
really a personal struggle for somebody to have to, first of all, confront the fact
Right.
that someone has
Exactly.
victimized me,
Right.
and then to come forward publicly with details about what was done to you, what was said to you.
Yes.
It's a very difficult process. The current chief executive
Of the city of
the United
Indianapolis.
States.
you're talking about
United
the
States.
United States. Okay.
That person, that
Got
person
convictions.
was convicted of this, but publicly said, it's okay to do these things. And so I think we're seeing a clash between values.
Right.
It is not okay to do these things, and somebody needs to be held accountable.
So
that's what we're seeing here. The mayor, of course, I personally haven't seen any evidence to suggest that he really, believes that this is okay behavior. I've seen evidence to the contrary.
Okay.
But I also think that, he wants to win. He doesn't want to cut his own throat. And if this person, former chief of staff, has proven to be a winning strategist before, somebody he can depend on, he's got a personal struggle dealing with,
Right. What's the
what are my
representation?
values?
Right.
How are my values competing with each other here, and how do I balance those out? I think that's the mayor's struggle.
Has
But,
there been any legal ramifications or
well, these,
motions put forth? for
well,
that?
they've gone through the administrative complaint procedure, but I suspect there's going to be
More
some
coming.
legal,
Okay, that's about to
some
say
legal
legal, that's-
repercussions,
Yeah, there may be,
lawsuits here.
because they
coming
wasn't
on.
satisfied with the finding, even though the city spent $400 million or
to
$4 million
investigate, right.
to investigate this.
Yeah,
Wow.
maybe it's $4 million.
$4 million is more
Million.
reasonable, I
Okay.
think. But
Maybe $400,000
Yeah.
was what they actually spent, but
Yeah.
the budget was so that's quite a lot of money, and the people are not satisfied. I mean,
Well,
they
people-
want his head. They want
Right.
the mayor of Indianapolis, Joe Halstead, to resign. Is what they're pushing.
yeah, well, then the question is, what happens next?
Yeah.
And it does, and it still goes back, and like I agree with that trauma. She's been triggered by in public with people and women who, and even men,
Yes.
who's been sexually harassed or assaulted to come forward. So that's another whole layer and story in itself. And these survivors, and then to be this public forum of it's okay, that is re-traumatizing.
Absolutely.
To the sense. And then it's like we're voting for it and it's okay. So definitely, I think it's,
Yeah. I think we did a show on that.
We're planning on the sexual
harassment. Okay.
So
It's
we'll
a
come back to
difficult
that.
subject,
It is.
and
Appreciate
it
her
affects a
sharing
whole lot of
this.
people that you just don't imagine it affects.
Right.
Yeah. Our next question from our viewers and listeners is, what is our opinion of Donald Trump, and what can we do to get rid of him? Okay. Vote. Okay.
Register
To vote. Don't get,
Follow
sidetracked.
through.
We've got a
Mark your
primary
calendars.
coming up in about a year now, I think. Of course, he's not up for election, but the Congress and a
House.
third of the Senate, the House,
All of the House.
all of the House and a third of the
seats.
Senate is up for election nationally, and then of course, here in the city of Indianapolis, I don't think the mayor's up this time, but certainly the Secretary of State and some of the other offices are up. You got to make sure, as we've said, register and then vote. That's how you change things. That's how you make your voices heard.
Well, and I know I'm going to sound like a broken record because I've said this many times before, but in addition to going to vote, you got to make yourself heard in between elections. Write your congressman,
Phone
get
numbers.
out there to support different causes. Protests. Let the media, let the news see how many people are downtown protesting for No King's Day or whatever the event may be.
Right.
But you've got to be involved. There are organizations that are out there doing things, and you need to find one and support them. If you can't go yourself, you can donate $5, $10, or
that.
whatever it may be to help
Yeah.
somebody else go out there and
vote.
do it. But you've got
Protest.
to keep that pressure on. People in political positions, policy-making positions have to know how people feel and what people want about things. So don't sit back and say, well, it's politics, or you can't stop the government, or whatever. You have got to make yourself known and help people who are voicing your concerns.
Exactly.
Get out there. Be involved.
out there. I happened to listen to one of the listeners on one of the other stations, 1310 WTLC. They had a gentleman that was on, and he was like, hey, you basically talking about the same thing, but only dealing with property tax. He said, look, I went down and protest when they were talking about property tax, when the governor said he was going to do this and then reversed himself and didn't do what he said he was going to do. And property tax affects me.
Right.
I get those twice a year, and they were supposed to, part of his pledge when he was running for governor, I'm going to reduce property tax. And once again, Governor Braun, that's the governor of Indiana, I should say, didn't do that. In fact, some of the things he did at the last minute, I mean, the 12th hour, making changes that nobody, first of all, didn't ask for, and secondly, why? Because that's how they do. Wait till after midnight, and this is the last hour of the session, and like he did, changing the board at the University of IU, Indiana University, and then making these switches and making these changes and so what have you. Look, not only is it the local folks, the statewide folks, you got to watch everybody, and you got to voice your opinion so they'll know. And look, when the election comes up, don't vote for them.
Right.
Campaign against them.
Absolutely.
Tell your neighbors, look, this is what this person did. He lied.
Right.
He lied. 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 She lied. So fix
Educate.
it. Educate folks. Yeah. So anyhow, well, that was that question. Let me see what the next one is. In other words, vote. Please vote. Okay? Register to vote. Okay, our next question from one of our viewers and listeners, explain how Donald Trump could bomb other countries without the approval of Congress.
Well,
That's definitely illegal.
yeah. So the person who occupies the presidency is the commander-in-chief of the United States Armed Forces. And so that person has the authority to issue orders to the military. Now, under the Constitution, only Congress has the authority to declare war, but there are a lot of things that can happen between a military movement and a declaration of war. And so that's kind of where we are. It didn't take a declaration of war to send planes into a sovereign country and bomb them. Should it have been done? Should he have consulted with Congress? I think probably so, because the will of the people needs to be expressed. And from what I'm understanding, Donald Trump did consult with Republican members of Congress that he selected. These are people who, in my opinion, he selected people who are going to kind of rubber stamp anything that he wants to do. That way he can say, well, I consulted with Congress.
Yes.
But he did not do the broader consultation with, bipartisan groups of Congress. He certainly didn't go to Congress and request, a declaration of war. Probably didn't need to do that in order to bomb. But he probably should have consulted with a bipartisan group of Congress people in order to get advice, consent, and basically get them on board. But the bottom line in answer to the question is he did it because there's a gray area between issuing orders to the military and an act of war. And so he took advantage. As he's known to do, he pushes the lines to where he wants them to be. And so now Congress is debating whether he should have done that, whether there should have been briefings, whether people should have known about it in advance and consented. But it's a fait accompli. It's done.
It's done.
He
right.
did it.
Unfortunate. And then the peach that was put on motion had been shot down just recently.
To impeach him? Yeah. I knew
so
that
got shot down by partisan in a sense of 23 Democrats voted on the side of Republicans about,
not
impeaching him.
Yeah.
Because of that particular issue. So.
Well, yeah, and I think probably the Democrats are still playing by the rules,
right?
And they're looking at it more objectively. Should a president have the ability to order a bombing, and did he, far exceed his authority? And the Democrats are looking at it in terms of any president, instead of taking a more partisan view and saying, well, that particular person or that particular representative of that other political party, and so we're going to decide against them no matter what. They're looking at it really probably more objectively.
And then the Chinese government lists a whole bunch of other bombings prior even to Trump that had been bombed without congressional necessarily approval too.
We're the bombingest country.
Right. We set our
history.
tone, right.
We bomb
Since
more countries
War
than
II,
anybody else.
Right.
We have a big military, and we have a very effective military with a lot of very high-tech tools, and we use them.
And we use them, exactly.
The question is, should we be using them?
Yeah, not on everything. But okay, question number 4 from one of our listeners and viewers. I was thinking about running for office, but now I'm afraid, based on what happened in Minnesota. What should I do?
In the Minnesota recap, was that when
that was the legislators, the state legislators
pushed down
that
from
were
trying to speak?
They were killed.
Killed.
Yeah, they
We
were
had-
assassinated.
Yes,
we
the
had
woman
two,
and the husband.
the
The
state
former
representative,
speaker.
the former speaker of the House for the state of
Right.
Minnesota,
Right.
and then the other
And her
legislator
husband.
and her husband, both, and the dog.
And the
Oh,
dog,
wow.
yeah.
They killed
Shot and killed her, her husband, and their dog.
And then another legislator and
They're
His
recovering.
wife.
the spouse were also shot
Multiple
but not
times.
killed.
Yeah, multiple times.
and
He
it
was shot
was-
9 times. She was shot 8 times, and she's out of the hospital as we speak.
Yeah.
But I think he's still in the hospital, and I think the last I heard he was in satisfactory condition. So that's a plus.
Yeah, so that's the background of the question.
Right.
And the questioner is basically saying that, I'm afraid to run for something because of political violence.
Right.
Yeah.
And, it's a legitimate concern nowadays. I think you would probably be foolish not to think about that with what's going on in our society. And again, maybe I'm sounding like a broken record because I'm going to go back to the tone at the top. And when you've got a chief executive of the nation that inspires
Violence.
that suggests that people go and attack the nation's capital and gets away with that, and calls for illegal activity by foreign powers to intervene in domestic affairs in this country, and people don't see that there's any consequence for that sort of thing, it becomes inspiring to would-be offenders who think it's appropriate to take into their own hands. Well, I don't like the fact that you are advocating this or that, so I'm going to break in your house and beat your husband with a hammer, or I'm going to shoot you. And then we've got other legislators who make fun of those victims.
Yes.
So we see a breakdown in civility that's inspired by the tone at the top, where we've got political violence being either affirmatively condoned or impliedly condoned, and I'm not sure what the answer is to that, because it takes a village to make that kind of stuff stop. We need everyone on both sides of the fence or all sides of the fence to say this is not acceptable, but that doesn't exactly address the person's question, what do I do?
And I was just even thinking from growing up, presidents get shot. That was like the narrative. It's just like becoming an artist. You don't want to be an artist, you're not going to make money till you die. I was deterred from being an artist. But I'm like, but it was like, presidents die, Martin Luther King died. So that was the narrative even in my growing up, that, you can't be this or you can't say this because you will get shot. And it was proven. Our civil rights leaders were all killed, assassinated, presidents were assassinated. So I can understand now in this day and age, we're not there, but it's like a reversal of that time in a sense. But at the same time, Barack, everybody was afraid.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody was afraid for like, okay, he gonna make it, but how long? And then it was after that first, term, it was like, phew, okay, now we can relax after the second term. And that kind of regained hope that, yes, and then since then we had, the women kind of nominations, and Kamala Harris now vice president. So I'll say go for it. Go with your God-given purpose and ideals, because fear is the ultimate deterror in life for anything.
And that's what these people are hoping to inspire, is fear.
Right. So I think purpose and will overcomes fear in itself, because at least you've done it for your own purpose and the greater good.
I would say do it, but do it with caution.
Well, anything's with caution. You got to cross the street, the chicken crossed the road eventually.
Exactly.
After seeing everybody getting hatched and sold in, in grocery stores. So I would say just go with your heart and your purpose.
With caution.
With caution, right.
Our next question from our viewer or listener is,
good question.
Because we bombed Iran, should we be worried about sleeper cells?
I think definitely
I have me a to-go kit. I have a solar radio, solar light.
She's for real. She does.
Waiting for to decide on what tent that I can get. They're not waterproof, but I'm trying to figure out which tent to get. But yes.
Okay. I didn't say with her.
I mean, so I think it's going to cyber. And I told you, as you know, the narrative, I'm in AI now, and I see its power in its entity. It already happened with the cyber attack or electricity in London. So it's happened, the outage just from the networks and everything, cut down the subway. So why not? I say you buy insurance, just buy solar lights and AM, FM radios, walkie-talkies, because you can't depend on the cell phones. That's my 2 cents. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, well,
that's my caution, Mike.
That's your caution.
That's
I'm
a
living
good
with
idea.
caution.
Yes, I think it's a real concern.
Yes.
The Iranians are not stupid people.
No.
They understand that they are not going to win a tit-for-tat war with the United States. We got bigger, better toys and bigger reach than they do. So they're not going to get involved in a direct military exchange. They are going to use what tactics they can use in order to win. Like the United States, before we became our own country, the tactics that we used at that time to win our independence were considered guerrilla tactics.
Yes.
The British authorities would have considered what we did as terrorist tactics, to use modern language. And I think those are the kinds of tools that Iran is going to use in order to get back at the United States. They're going to try to destroy the will of the United States to engage with them.
That fear.
Instill that fear. Their problem is they're going to have to be careful about how they do it, because if they do it too much, hurt too much, too many, the wrong people, then they're going to basically unify people behind further military action against them. And so they're going to do something. They're going to have a response. I think it will be more than the missile attack that they launched on our bases in Qatar. But even beyond the Iranians, I think there will be people who support them, who act independently. And some of those are homegrown people who support them and who oppose the United States and its role in the world and in the Middle East in particular. So yeah, I think we do need to be concerned about sleeper cells. Keep your eyes peeled, stay out of big crowds, stay away from major targets, but you can't live your life paralyzed by fear.
No.
Okay. We'll have some more questions for the next show.
Yeah, this is good.
I talk too much?
No.
It's
It's fine.
balance on your
Good balance.
particular expertise.
Plus, we're answering the questions that our viewers and listeners.
Let them know we're here.
Yeah.
And we see
So,
them. Appreciate it.
if you've got more questions, go to our Facebook, Diversity Focus Today.
YouTube.com.
Is it diversityfocustoday.com, and
YouTube.
place your questions, and also go to YouTube.
Yeah, 'cause you can put your questions on both.
You can put we can?
on both.
Okay. Get out
And
our
all
technical
Indiana
person.
podcasts.
And
on
all Indiana
HTUP.
podcasts,
Or you see us walking around the store. I ain't that famous yet, but yeah.
Well,
one person said they did see us. I was at a vendoring event, and they said, y'all were on YouTube.
Yeah. Well,
So.
see there? So we will answer your questions
Find
and
it.
give comments and so on, what have you. Just by all means, let us know as soon as you can. We can, I guess you could call 317-490-4950 and do a text us with your questions, and we'll get those on. So I assume we'll have that up on the screen. Our great director, Alan Hall, will make sure that's done. So we got to go, folks, and we'll see you next time on Diversity Focus Today.